I thought we'll spend some time understanding this wonderful concept called Shraddha. Generally, when we go to any place, the way in which we can actually get what we want in that region is by deploying its local currency, isn't it? And so if we land in America, generally we need to have the currency which works, which circulates, and which is accepted in America. And in USA, we know it's US dollars, and it's euros in Europe, and so on and so forth. Likewise, when we have to progress spiritually, in our journey towards our own self, in the journey towards, can I use the word unknown, that which is beyond our day-to-day sensory perception, that which is beyond what we call as mundane living and thinking. In that region, we do have a currency which we need to hold on to, which we need to collect. And the beauty here is we can collect that currency on the go. Like when we land in America, maybe we take a few dollars to start with to get our basic needs met, and then maybe we can take up an occupation there. And then we can collect dollars as we stay there and enrich our lives. Likewise, in this journey towards ourself, all these currencies of what we deploy in our day-to-day mundane world may not be really of value in that journey towards our own self, where we need to leave behind our sensory perceptions, our knowledge about the world, etc. And that currency, I believe, is Shraddha, you see. And with that Shraddha alone, we can actually take a safe passage or a safe journey in this spiritual journey towards our own self. And all our Shastras clearly says, without truly realizing self, which is without self-realization, none of those different philosophies can actually actualize, whether you call it Advaita, Vishtadvaita, Advaita, or even Bhakti. Everything is finally rooted in this fantastic, can I say, destination of self-realization. Even in Bhakti, Bhagavan has a special place for people who have truly taken the passage towards their core, which is their self. They are called jnanis, isn't it? And the bhakti done by a jnani is truly exemplary. It is truly different from the other three types of bhakti. Bhagavan in Bhagavad Gita says, Chaturvida vajante mam jana suhridino Arjuna, arti, artharti, jignasu, jnani cha bharatarshava. Hey Arjuna, 4 types of people actually tend to emote with me, connect with me in form of bhakti. And the most common bhakti, we all see all the world and we are very happy about it. We are very grateful for such bhaktas. Or what is called as an artha bhakta and artharthi bhakta. Typically, an arthi bhakta is generally most of humankind starts their journey towards divinity. Arthi has a need. A need maybe to get rid of some affliction, typically. And he or she realizes that there is Bhagavan and he's like a father, he's like a mother, he's very compassionate, like a friend. And I can take his help. So when that bhakta realizes that there is Bhagavan who can come to my support, who can help me, he tries to emote with Bhagavan and he prays, typically a supplication. And then the prayers are answered. Why? Because of that currency which I just told you, Shraddha. And Bhagavan in Bhagavad Gita says the amount of grace is commensurate with the amount of Shraddha we have in the supplication. So the real currency, apart from we say divine grace, etc., all that is beyond definitions. But that which we can grasp from our side is Shraddha. Bhagavan says, Yadrishi Shraddha, Tadrishi Siddhir Bhavati. So depending on how much Shraddha we have, the success in our endeavor, be it a worldly endeavor with the help of God or an otherworldly endeavor to understand stuff which is beyond the sphere of known, all that is rewarded commensurate with that currency called Shraddha. So we have Arti and then we have Artharti. Now that my afflictions have been taken care by prayer, which I must have supplicated with at least a little bit an iota of Shraddha, faith, the person gets a little more enthused to ask to fulfill his wants now. You see, it's called Artharti. Arti has a very burning need can be a positive need, or it can be an elimination of a negative affliction. And Artharthi wants a better life. Artharthi realizes that there is divine grace and I can tap into divine grace. And how do I do that? Is again by the currency called Shraddha. And I have already seen that the divine grace took care of my affliction. And so he's enthused, he or she is enthused to actually supplicate for an enhanced quality of life. Artharthi. I already have a house, a roof above my head. It will be nice that instead of staying in a 13th floor, I would rather have a villa. So he goes to Tirupati, prays to Balaji. And depending on the Shraddha he has, Balaji, our Perumal, is very happy to bless that also. And then comes the third stage of evolution, of understanding, where that Bhakta starts thinking, when I have a problem, I supplicate it, and there is this divine grace along with my effort, which gave me the results. And when I wanted to get rid of affliction, it was there. When I wanted something better in my life, it was there. Why should I want at all? How do I look at this side of the equation? I have a need, and the need has to be met, so I go to the other side where I look for means to meet my need and my want. Now, as a person progresses spiritually, the person starts questioning this side of the equation. How do I either reduce my needs or reduce my wants, or how can I be want-free, you see? And I guess that's the first step towards jignasu. How do I free myself from this constant cycle of I have a want is met, the want becomes bigger, it is again met, and it seems to be just growing. And the person sees the whole play in toto and not piecemeal. When I look at only my need or my want in isolation, it is a piecemeal approach. When I look at the whole cycle of my life, others' life, what I read, what I heard, what I see a cycle. And a person yearns for escape from that cycle. And then he seeks answers, he or she, to get out of this cycle. And the answer is shocking. The answer is, you have what you all that you need is right within you. Because my final endeavor is that which we call Anandam. When we look at the word Anandam, I don't think we have an equivalent word. Bliss comes a little close. Anandam has no opposites because it alone exists. And so see this wonderful, can I say paradox, that everything I do is directly or indirectly related to that Anandam. I am striving for Anand. Whether I am Artharthi or I am an Arthi, whether I have an affliction, it's a dis-ease. I just want to go back to an ease, state of ease. And whether I want to acquire or possess or expand or get recognition from people or be known, either it's name, fame, or personal interest, or whatever it is, it's all directed towards that one goal, Anandam, Anandam, Anandam. And even a jignasu realizes that, this seems to be a very vicious cycle of want and meeting the want, so striving hard to meet the want. And the want is not gone forever. No? And then this jignasu thinks, I need to get an escape from this cycle. But for me to be the jignasu, I need somebody who I see is always at ease, who I see seems to be in Anandam. I see that person. Or I hear about that person from a book. Better is a person. Second best is to at least hear about that person. Where I realize here is a person. And I go and ask that person, don't you have any need for that? He says, no. Why? Because I don't have the thirst at all. Is it possible? He's speaking like that. And a little bit of what I saw seems to corroborate with what he speaks. Is it possible? Now comes the currency of spiritual world, truly spiritual world, called Shraddha. Shraddha, to me, the first step is called possibility thinking. So here, I see this happy person, Anand person, and the person is pretty much at ease. And he says that such a state is possible. And the first step in Shraddha is acceptance of a possibility which may not be evident to me right now. Our Adi Shankara Bhagavad Pada, in his highest work, Brahma Sutra Bhashya, starts it even before he introduces very complicated systems of knowledge. He starts by saying possibility. First, accept the possibility. It's called Sambhavana Buddhi. And the Bhashya, the commentary, starts with what is called as Sambhavana Bhashya. When we are hypnotized to see things the way it is, and we have to de-hypnotize ourselves using the words of Swami Vivekananda, first thing is to accept possibility of the state of being non-hypnotic, to see things as they are. So it's called Sambhavana. They say, na, iska Sambhavana hai. The word Sambhavana is a very precious word, especially if it's a very important part of this currency. Like for rupees or dollars, a gold bar is the base in which it gains its values, isn't it? Likewise, the gold reserves. Likewise, the gold reserve for this currency called Shraddha is possibility thinking. Being open to possibility. Even if the circumstances, or even if my body of knowledge, or even if my experience right now seems to be contrary to that possibility, accepting, yes, it's possible. It's a big step, Sambhavana. And I think Satsang, which we all in various ways attend, strengthens that Sambhavana Buddhi to start with. Our Swamiji very poetically says, a true Satsang with the realized master is not to quench our material thirst, but to actually evoke or to instigate a divine thirst. A thirst can only be annulled by another thirst, you see, not anything else. Quenching the thirst only enhances the thirst, right? Look at it a little poetically. I am thirsty, I drink some water. Does it mean the thirst is quenched? It's only quenched for the time being. Then there is a demand. I want some cold water. In my days of youth, cold water was a luxury. You see, so yeah, I want cold water. And now, when I have thirst, I want water which is infused with the minerals, with a little flavor, etc. So the thirst quenching seems to only enhance my thirst to a greater degree. But a thirst in the spiritual arena, where I open my eyes to that possibility, seems to quench this thirst of, arti, artharthi, etc. To a great extent. So Swamiji very poetically put, it's only thirst which quenches the thirst. Thirst or Trishna for Krishna, because we all follow Bhagavad Dharma. You can, you can substitute any term you want. It can be like balanced living, or it can be Shiva, it can be Devi, doesn't matter. Krishna Trishna can only quench Loka Trishna, you see. My first step towards such a path should be acceptance of a possibility, being open to possibility. And I believe now we are in a very exciting times where there are people who are willing and daring to even challenge well-established belief, be it medicine, be it psychology, or be it science, physics, where they are willing to posit revolutionary ideas. They are ready to test it and they show results. And then a new branch of science is born. It's more mature, it's more transcendental, if I can say that. And that seems to benefit humanity even more. So the first, the gold reserve for Shraddha to get the value. The currency gets its value from the gold reserves. And the gold reserve for Shraddha is Sambhavana. It is possible to have that firm conviction of a possibility. And once Sambhavana is taken care of, it helps us to enhance our thirst in the right direction. Tripti is positive and also negative. He calls Tripti, I'm satisfied. Satisfaction can be passive, and that becomes a little bit of tamasic. I'm satisfied with life, sir. Whatever I have, I'm okay. It is not going to, it's good in a way that we are not frittering away our energies in a very frivolous way. But again, that type of a passive satisfaction would not help us to grow as a human being towards our goal of realizing what we are, self-transcendence or self-actualization. So a benign thirst or a benign dissatisfaction is the seed for growth, obviously. When the dissatisfaction becomes outward, it becomes what is called as a development in technology, etc., which is beautiful. Otherwise, I wouldn't be even talking to you. The benign dissatisfaction towards the side of spirituality can only take us forward, isn't it? And that's why we say whether it is bhakti or whether it is jnana, there has to be a benign dissatisfaction. And that benign dissatisfaction, along with possibility thinking, is the way. And that's what is called Shraddha. You see, Shraddha needs an engine for growth, isn't it? That engine for growth is benign dissatisfaction. The Upanishad says that a person, after he does all the work, etc., he realizes or she realizes, I don't think I'm going the right path. I'm not satisfied with this mundane existence. I am aspiring, I'm craving for something deeper, something more. And tasmad, hence that person runs, Gurum evabi gachet, Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. Samitpanihi Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. So a person rushes towards a guru because there is Shraddha and there is benign dissatisfaction. Shraddha is rooted in, yes, there is a higher living possible. There is something bigger than this apparent existence of just feeding my hunger, feeding my thirst, feeding my mental hunger, feeding my mental thirst, feeding my sensory hunger, feeding my sensory thirst. There is something beyond, which I don't know now, but there is something. Possibility thinking and a benign dissatisfaction. And that person goes with Samit Panihi. Samit Panihi means hand filled with sticks. Samit means dried sticks which Mahatmas use for their daily fire worship. But then Adi Shankara Bhagavad Pada gives a very beautiful meaning, Sammitam Pani, with hands folded in utter humility. Humility is not thinking low of ourselves. Humility in actuality is completely being open to something which I don't know yet, which I need to receive from somebody. So humility is lowering ourselves to elevate ourselves, while self-pity, etc., is lowering ourselves to lower ourselves even further. You see, there is a difference, right? So when we go with Samit Pani, it means that now I'm open. Water can flow from a higher ground to a lower ground. And realizing that I need to fill myself with water so that I can match the level of the person whom I'm surrendering to. With that clear objective, I go with absolute humility, and humility means openness. Humility means I don't know, and humility means I don't know yet, right? And having the faith that this person whom I am actually approaching is going to make me know, is going to make me realize. And with that faith, with that openness to that possibility, I approach a guru. And that guru shows me a way commensurate to my experience and gives me an path towards the growth. You see? And that is the reason why that currency, which we all seem to intuitively realize it strongly, that fundamental thing is Shraddha. You see? And our Vedas say Shraddha is even greater than God. Bhagavan Yogi Ram Suratkumar's quote is what our Swamiji also quotes a lot. He's saying that faith is greater than God. Nothing is greater than faith. Shraddha. When he says faith, he means Shraddha. Because in Vedas, there is a Suktam. Suktam is a collection of hymns, which has a common vein. It has a common topic or a common essence in it. And it's called Shraddha Suktam. In that, it ends by saying, Shraddham Bhagasya Murdhani. You see, Bhaga means divinity. And Bhagavan is the one who is divine in all aspects. That's why we call even great Jnanis as Bhagavan. Ramana Bhagavan, Vasishta Bhagavan, Valmiki Bhagavan, Narada Bhagavan, Durvaso Bhagavan Abhut. So Bhagavan is the one who has that divinity. You see. And here, instead of talking about the person who is divine, it talks about the general principle of divinity called Bhaga. And it says, if you say Bhaga and you imagine a person who is the embodiment of divinity, then this Shraddha is on the head. Shraddham Bhagasya Murdhani. It is on the head, like a crown for divinity is Shraddha. You see. And that's the beauty of our culture, where Shraddha is inculcated as a form of education right from childhood. Where, can you imagine this? They make us by heart Bhagavad Gita first. I'm sure many of us who come from a typical Hindu family would know at least a few shlokas from Sahasranama, from Bhagavad Gita, right? And many of us from South India are taught Sahasranama. There are Sahasranama. I don't even know the meaning of even one name to start with. But we are rewarded when we by heart Sahasranama or some shlokas of Bhagavad Gita. And our Swamiji says, by hearting this is the first step towards realizing it. Because first of all, the words, Vishwam Vishnur Vashatkaro Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu Bhuta Krit Bhuta Bhavo Bhutatma Bhut. The words itself has a tremendous power to empower our mind or empower our psyche and all that. That's one side. Our Swamiji says, when you buy heart something, it's like a treasure chest given by your mother with a key. You may think, I don't think I need it right now. You keep it. When a day comes and you have a need or you have the leisure, take the key and open the treasure chest. You'll get what you need at the time. It's like that. And our elders have very beautifully taught us Shraddha that way, where they say, first by heart it, so that you can know the meaning, relish the meaning, feel the experience more later. So forget the fact, by-hearting Sahasranama, by-hearting Bhagavad Gita, let it be on one side. But the system of being open to something, even when I don't know its complete 9 yards, that is the system of inculcating Shraddha we had, and hopefully we will have. And we do that at a very young age of say 5 or 6 or 7, because this essence of Shraddha is inculcated in the various practices we do. And if we take Shraddha a little, stretch it a little bit, it becomes a little painful. I realize that. Don't question, just do. It's not what Shraddha is all about. Do it so that you may come to understand it later is Shraddha. And that's the beauty of our way of life, where our elders, our parents, our house teachers have inculcated that for us. And now we realize Shraddha is so powerful. If somebody has other ailments or other problems, doesn't matter. If that person has this fundamental currency called Shraddha, it can get that person everything that the person seeks. For example, I may not have the right clothing when I land in America. I may not have the right accessories, which I may need for day-to-day life in America. I may not even have a vehicle in America, but if I have a bag full of green currency and I land in America, the currency can buy me food, it can buy me my accessories like toothbrush, toothpaste, it can buy me a ride to wherever I go, it can buy me a space for me to live, etc. That's the power of currency, isn't it? Now we have realized, for our well-being within, the currency is Shraddha, and it has its various manifestations called faith. It has its manifestations called openness. It has its manifestations in form of possibility thinking. All this is from the manifestation. When you say Devi, and the Devi takes 3 forms, and then she takes Dasa Mahavidya, and she takes 16 forms, etc. But the fundamental is Parashakti. She is the center. And like a karpal, or like the central portion of a lotus, and then all these rows and rows and rows of petals, these are the manifestation of the core. Likewise, Shraddha is the center. That's the Parashakti. And the various other manifestations is what we are exploring together. That is Shraddha, you see. And that's the currency which can somehow get all the other needs met, whether it is physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, etc. Is all rooted in this one wonderful value called Shraddha. And Bhagavan again in Bhagavad Gita says, to the extent of your Shraddha, the success and happiness in your life completely is dependent on Yadrishi Shraddha. Siddhir Bhavati Tadrishi.